So yesterday I had a pretty awesome podcast with my brother Archie Tyson. We do the Ivy League Hood Rats podcast, and I think yesterday was our 17th episode. And what it is just us just talking from the heart about topics having to do with things that are happening in the world right now. We always looking back to education. We're both educators. We met at Columbia University in the educational leadership program. That's how, we settled on the name Ivy League Hood Rats. And yesterday we talked about something very important. Something so important that it's always in the back of our minds, and I would say everyone who is anyone who is of genuine understanding of who they are struggles with this. And that has to do with being authentic. That has to do with not allowing anyone to tell you who or what you are, and you living up to your beliefs, that thing about you that says that I am who I am. I am amazing. I am pure. I am intellectual. I am funny. I am, I'm a hot mess. Whatever those things are, because at the end of the day, we're human beings. And as human beings, we are flawed. But it's within those flaws, when we're really being authentic, as long as we're not trying to hurt anyone else, that we are able to really make a difference. And this conversation we had on the last podcast came kind of as a result of multiple things happening. You have the situations with Angel Reese, the amazing ball player from Louisiana State University, all the controversy because she did this. She did that. I can't, you can't see me and pointed to her ring finger because they just won the women's NCAA national basketball championships, and that turned into a big hoopla, and she was being called all kinds of ghetto and hood and not being professional, not being sportsmanlike, when those same gestures were gestures that were done by her counterpart just days before, but that person didn't get any of the same retribution. So you have that situation. Then you have the three actually representatives out in the state of Tennessee. Representative Jones, Pearson, and Johnson, and the three of them. The first two black men, the third a white woman, protested, during a session of the state senate about gun control, and literally, protesting at the wake of the shooting that happened in their state. And I didn't even know this, at a school that wasn't that far from the Capitol, from the state Capitol building or whatever, where children were killed. Babies were killed, and because they protested and were being vehement in their protest about what needs to happen to ensure that our children kept safe, and because they were being rambunctious or whatever the case may be, or disorderly, but listen, I think the rest of the country saw them as being authentically who they are, and not allowing anyone to shut them down, because what they were fighting for was for the future and the lives of our children. They were expelled from the state senate, and I'm like, wow. So if you don't fit into the form of what people expect of you, or what the greater society expects of you, you get canceled. They try to cancel Angel Reese. They try to cancel these three politicians, and unfortunately, the three politicians, two were actually expelled. One missed expulsion by a couple of votes. And you can figure out who that was, and I still give her much props for standing her ground, because she chose to take a stance for the same way those other two men did. It's just that the way things are, she didn't get the same punishment, right? But we talked about this whole notion of being authentic and not allowing anyone to force you to be who you're not allowing people to silence you because of the risk of you losing something, whether it's losing endorsements, your job, family, whatever it may be. I think too many of us live in a space where we refuse, let me take that back, where we choose, I don't think it's we refuse, we choose the path of least resistance and safety for the sake of having a roof over our heads, for the sake of not being admonished by our peers, that when we see that things that are wrong and rather than doing what is right, we stay quiet. And we hope somebody else is brave enough and bold enough to take those stances and to do what is needed. And again, the problem with that is one thing if these were things that were unique to individuals, it's become something that's unique to all of society. You know, and we wonder why we don't have the heroes that we had of yesteryear. We wonder why we don't have those who stand willing to stand and put it all on the table and put it all on the line for what is right for our people, for our children, for our families, for our communities. Instead, we have loud voices behind screens and loud voices that are loud, but it's always followed by a but. And that's something that I think about often, because as an educator, as one who spent a considerable portion of their lives working with young people, I look back and I'm like, wow, unwittingly and unknowingly, I've perpetuated that mentality. Because when I've told children, young people, hey, that's not a good look, because you don't want people to think that you're this by you doing that. You know, let's not be so loud, because people are going to make assumptions about you. You can't speak that way. You got to speak a little bit properly, because you won't be able to get a job. I remember, it's funny, I remember when I was told, oh, you get that. I remember I had gotten this tattoo, right here. I don't know if you can see it. I remember I was in college, and I figured I would always have a long sleeve on. So I really wanted to have long sleeves on, and the kind of jobs I want to have long sleeves on. I remember a friend of mine saying, bro, you did that? Yo, they can never see that. If they ever see that, they won't hire you, or they will fire you, because that's mad unprofessional. And I remember being terrified for a while, like hiding my tattoos, even though I was in college, because I felt like, I don't want people to think XYZ about me. But my tattoo wasn't about what people thought. It was about what I wanted. It was about, the representation of what that tattoo was for me. But I was so terrified about that. And it's funny how, as an adult, as an educator, as a teacher, as a dean, as an assistant principal, as a principal, as someone who's received awards for multitude of things I've done in education, and everyone knows I have tattoos, and no one has ever questioned my ability and my skill set based on my tattoos. When I started podcasting, creating content, people told me, you gotta be careful. You might lose your job, because social media. And I started posting content. Like light work. It's in 2018-ish, and went hard body during the pandemic, 2020. And I've not lost a job, or I've had any kind of controversy, or anyone's come to me saying, what are you doing? As a matter of fact, I've been fortunate to have interviewed my former boss, the chancellor of New York City schools, before they were chancellor and after they were chancellor, on my podcast. And I was sitting in my house, and they were and Chancellor Banks was in his office, at Tweed, and we had a conversation. And I've also been fortunate to have interviewed many people and have spoken to groups of teachers virtually through my platform. And it's funny because, again, we live in a world where we're told, if you gotta be careful. If you do XYZ, this might happen. and we stay quiet. We don't move forward. We don't try anything, but we're terrified. And that is not an existence that I want for myself, for my children, for my students, or for anyone. And so if you listen to this right now, and there's something that you really want to do, and I'm saying again, don't be out there doing anything illegal, anything that you know what I'm saying, they might have the FBI break into your house or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about things that are authentically amazing things that contributes to society. Do it. Do it. Because 9 times out of 10, nothing's gonna happen. And that one time something happens is just probably somebody gonna say something. But that's about it. We gotta free our minds, we gotta free our spirits, and we have to be unapologetically who we are. That's something that's very, very important. That's something that's really missing in our society today. All right, with that being said, this is Uche Njoku. I'll talk to y'all later, all right?